Hello, dear students. Good afternoon. Hope you all are doing well. Today is 23rd May 2020, and still we are living in the era of lockdown affected by COVID-19. So earlier I sent you two part of my presentation related to migration issues. Okay, and that will benefit to MA semester 4th population studies students as well as BA semester 6th population studies students. Okay, so earlier I told you about the population issue, poverty issue, and defined the migration. Today I will move forward and express my views about the return and reintegration of the migration, and then I will try to finalize the topic. Okay, so dear students, in the age of globalization where communication has become so instant and traveling to far off place countries easier, cheaper than ever before, not only the nation states but the migrants themselves too sometimes favor frequent return between home and host countries. And many migrants, especially the economic ones today, prefer better opportunities irrespective of the place where they are offered to, provided that their safety and security concerns are taken care of. Okay, so moreover, emergence of job opportunities in various sectors at home, particularly due to economic liberalization, many high-skilled Indians who went abroad in search of better educational and professional opportunities are returning home. Okay, so this is positive side of the migrant issue. At present, at a time of COVID, that is push factor, that is returning back due to the certain external effects. Okay, so source countries like India, which once viewed the migration of their educated individuals as brain drain, for they had an inclination of permanent settlement in the destinations countries, are no more worried about the current scale of migration, including those of highly skilled individuals, for they are witnessing now that a large number of people tend to return home after waiving some foreign exposure. So their return is being seen as a beneficial for the source country, as return migrants come back with improved levels of knowledge and technical skills, that is human capital. So this is positive side. Okay, but whether these return migrants of unskilled laborers which are happening in the era of COVID is the positive side of the economy, will they benefit agriculture, or will they pressurize to Indian economy? So this is the question which we have to address in the present situation. So the number of international migrants globally in 2019 was 272 million, and that is 3.5% of the world's population. And India continued to be largest country of origin of international migrants. Earlier I told you this all. The facts is that between 2013 and 17, high income countries experienced a slight drop in migrant workers. This is facts. So this all globally we should know about the situation of migration and the pattern of migrations in the global context. Okay, and this is called as push and pull factor. Earlier I told you about the push and pull factor, because why situation of migrants happen due to push factor, because there are huge population pressure, poverty, and they are dependent on agriculture, and there is no opportunity of work or wage earnings in the rural areas. That why they pushed from the rural areas and they moved to urban areas. So these are the push factors. And earlier I told you about the Levy's wage theory, assuming that we will get high wage in the urban area in comparison to the rural areas. So Levy's wage theory, I have told you in the theory parts, you just go through that. But overall, the repercussion of the COVID-19 crisis for low skilled migrant laborers and informal workers have been devastating. loss of jobs, lack of social security, and being stranded in an alien city or state will be problems that the country will have to grapple with well beyond the post-COVID-19 world. And then the inclusion of freedom and the problem of freedom, the equal pay rights, the human rights situation will arise very soon after the post-COVID season. Okay, so there are some policy discrimination also, as Economic Survey 2018-19 says that 93% workers are in the informal economy. But Niti Aayog in his strategy for New India at the rate of 75 says that India's informal sector employs approximately 85% of all workers. So whether that is 85% or 93%, this is a matter of concern. While source may differ on the precise numbers, the enormity of the informal workforce is accepted and known reality. Okay, so these workers contribute to 50% of India's national income and constitute a large part of the human capital base of the country. While India has a numerous policy for social security when it comes to education, healthcare, skilling, food security and pensions, most of these schemes are restricted to the organized sector. Okay, so dear students, these are the estimation, and we have to worry about the recent migrant trends. So recent migration trend shows that states like Maharashtra, Delhi, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat attract large swaths of migration from the Hindi heartland of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. And West Bengal too attracts a large number of migrations from the neighboring states of Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and Odisha. Given the fact that Maharashtra and West Bengal are the largest regional economies and regional magnets of migrants in the southern and western regions and the northern and eastern zones respectively, here we particularly focus on how these two states have responded in safeguarding their migrants during the coronavirus scare. So we have to link this all also when I am again revising this portion for you. So you have to link with COVID-19 era. Okay. So the developed regions as whole will experience a shrinking of population after 2014. So under the scenario, the assumed net migrations of zero, the projected population of the developed region would be 9%. And with no migration or with equivalent level of immigration, the population of developing regions would be about 1% large in 2050 than if current migration trends continued. So this is whole concept of migration which I am presenting before you. Migrations since 1950, the developed regions continuously gained population due to positive net migrations. From 1950 to 2010-11, the level of net migration to the developed regions increased from 0.3 million to 3.1 million per year. However, the net inflow of migrants fell into about 2.2 million persons annually between 2010 and 2015. So, through all this, earlier I have already teased you or taught you that what is net migration, what is gross migrations, what is the advantage and disadvantages of migrations. This already I have told you. So I will not repeat those all, dear students, because today I have to conclude this session of the migration issues, that there should be migration policy and there should be an issue of governance. So the growing interest in the comparative analysis of migration has led to variety of attempts to access and compare countries' migration policies and governance, including immigration and integration. And this effort is also enshrined in the Sustainable Development Goals narrated by the United Nations. So we have the limitations of data. We don't know how exactly there are migrants in the country. Okay, so there should be a perfect policy based on a data source, and government have to do lot to trace each and every migrants, and then only government could provide every facilities or cover all the migrants in the social security net. Okay, so they are vulnerable. We all know they are vulnerable because in an unorganized and chaotic labor market, migrants workers regularly face conflicts and disputes at work sites. Okay, so the common issues they face are non-payment of wages and physical abuse, accidents, and even deaths. So this is the problem, common problem. The cities were built on the hard labor and exploitation of migrants workers, but they never entered the consciousness of the architects. Instead, they are considered part of problems in the cities. And nowadays, you are witnessing all these problems because none corporates or no big industrialists have tried to stop their labors in their city, and they are or reverse migrated to their native places. Okay, so the future should be explained like that. So because due to shortage of labor in many of the developed countries or many of the developed states, the tendency of fulfilling labor shortage in the developed countries or developed states in India by imported manpower is perceived to pose certain challenge as well as provide opportunities to source countries. India, being a leading labor export country, has to ponder over the future impacts that this may have on the Indian economy as well as the Indian diaspora. So this is global scenario, and within a state also, developed states should concern about that whether migrants will come back to join the labor market or not. So of course we have to see all these facts, and the facts are that we have to check the migrants' health and livelihoods. That is a significant problem for the migrants. We have to address the migrants' families and communities of origin as likely to face severe economic impacts. So these all are the challenging factors, and for migrants there should be certain policies of pension policies, house policies, equal wage policies. This all government have to address after the COVID-19 impact, and the specific is the health policy. Okay, so dear students, there should be 5 R's. Before closing the session, I will state that the state should take a minimum 5 steps to make their lives better, not just during this lockdown period, but also for the future. The coronavirus lockdown is now an opportunity to address the issues of migrants workers in India. So we propose 5 R's, that is recognize, register, responsibility, ration card, and residence. This 5 R will strengthen the trust of migrants into the government side and into the corporate side, and they will then again return back into the labor markets. Okay, so the public health care in the country is poor, and that should be strengthened for the migrant labor. And we all know that there should be optimum population for all these issues. There is not huge amount of people and which may be the burden for the Indian economy. So regarding the human population, optimum population include ecological sustainability, economic output, and philosophical or ethical ends in themselves. So any conception of an optimum population level must lie between a minimum viable population of the human species and the maximum level of populations that can be sustained by the carrying capacity of the planet or earth. So really we have to think of the optimum population for the decent wealth and resource to everyone, for the basic human rights to everyone, for the preservation of the cultural diversity, for allowance of intellectual, artistic, and technological creativity to all, and for preservation of biodiversity in this period. So we need optimum population, dear students, and we have to address, before addressing the migration issues, before addressing the poverty issue, we should first address the issue of population. Okay, so because we all know, say this is a very big problems. Migrant labors are very problems in the COVID era. So you have to read into 3 parts. First, what is the link between population and poverty, and what is the link between poverty and migration, and what is the cause of return migration. And overall, let us suggest to everyone and to policymaker to go for an optimum population and make a such type of population policy in our country which includes all the migration problems, poverty problems, land problems, education problems, health problems, residence problems, and all. So we have to make the population policy in a holistic way, and that could only serve the problem of migrants laborers which we are witnessing at the time of COVID-19. So our humble request should be from the government that don't take this issue as a temporary or ad hoc issue, but we should all focus this issue in a totality. We have to think of the agriculture reform, we have to think of the health reform, we have to think of the educational reform, and we have to think all within the purview of these migrants laborers, because there should be naturally minimum wage for every migrants. So the government efforts of one nation and one wage policy that announced by the government is a welcome step. One nation and one ration card announced by the government during this COVID-19 is a welcome step. And there is a cheaper house, rental house for the migrants labor is also as a welcome steps. And of course, we have to strengthen the Ayushman Bharat scheme very effectively, so that residents, food and health issue should be addressed by the governments after the COVID era. Thank you, dear students. Take care of yourself and prepare these migration issues for the sake of examination also and for the sake of discussion also. Thank you very much.